it's Van Marmalade, and you're watching the Comics-Related Madness Network. Huh? So come get some. CromCon. CromCon.
Entertainment Group presents the Madness Comic Network with original programming and additional comic-related content.
Hey, we want to shout out to our sponsors, Daytona Beach Comic Con. If you are a fan of comic books, if you're a fan of comic book conventions, and if you like meeting comic book creators and getting comics and comic-related stuff, then you need to make your plans to attend Daytona Beach Comic Con. This year's show is September 9th and 10th. Silverline will be there, so you should make your plans to be there too. We'll see you there. If you like comics and find yourself in the Orlando, Florida area, doesn't everyone come to Orlando at some point in time to see the House of Mouse? But when you're here, you need to make it a point to visit Coliseum of Comics, especially the one on East Colonial Drive. They carry Silverline comics, even a limited edition Coliseum of Comics version of our comics. So, when you go, be sure to ask for Silverline Comics and tell them we sent you. OCD stands for Orlando Collector Deviants. OCD, Steve and Trish, they're a family of geeks who promote geek things, particularly those around the Orlando, Florida area. They're big supporters of Silverline, and we think you should be supporters of theirs too. Go give them some love. If you are an independent comic book maker and you need to get your independent comics made, you need to look no further than Kablam Digital Printing. They print our books, and they do a bang-up job. They're not only trusted by Silverline, but many, many independent comic book makers. Head on over to kablam.com and see for yourself just how easy it is to have your comic printed by them. And tell them Silverline sent you.
Hi, this is Tim TK, host of That Silverline Show on Tuesday. Join us at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific every Tuesday night as we discuss pop culture and the joys of making comics.
Hi, I'm Barb Kilber, co-host of Silverline's Wednesday Wham. Join us each Wednesday nights as we discuss comics, literature, movies, and anything else that may catch our attention.
I'm Roland Mann, and I host Silverline's Silver Sunday. Join me every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern as we make mine Silverline.
Hey.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
How was everyone doing?
Sorry for the late start, everybody. We were having some technical difficulties.
Technical issues, yes.
Like I said last time, it's that Commodore 64. Well up these days.
My Amiga didn't quite make it either.
I love the Amigas. Good stuff.
In this case, I downloaded new virus, a different program, and it wiped everything, all my passwords and everything, and I had to figure out how to get signed back in.
Yeah,
so,
I was just going to say, I think I have you guys beat with my TRS-80.
I had one of those too.
Very cool.
If you wanted to play your video game, you had to type it out.
So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. My name is John Medic, and I am your host for the evening. We have with us, as always, the Empress of Inks, Barb Kelberg. We have penciler extraordinaire Rob Davis.
The venerable.
What's that?
Venerable.
The
yeah.
venerable.
I'm not trusting myself with big words like that tonight. And man of many talents, and the man who made a very awesome new sniper in a pinup, my newest one in the most recent time, and I'm very grateful for that. Martin, big round of applause for Martin.
Thank you, thank you.
All right. So, if you guys couldn't tell from the banner behind me, our topic today is I like your identity. I think I'll take it. So I figured what we could do is kind of talk about some of the different times and occasions across comicdom, past, present, maybe future, and if we want to do some predictions of times that characters have lost their identities, somebody else took them over, they were given away, and kind of talk about like some of the stories that we actually got involved with and kind of thought like, hey, that's really cool, or oh my god, that was the dumbest thing ever.
Are we talking about like, when Dr. Doom took over Iron Man or Nightwing took over Batman's job? Stuff like that?
Well, I am so glad that you asked that today, Barb.
That's why you pay me, right?
Yeah, Barb gets the big bucks for those questions.
Knowing that we have, the topic and how we want to look at it, I did put together a PowerPoint presentation in case we needed some guidance and some ideas.
Mr. PowerPoint. Mr. PowerPoint again.
What's that?
Mr. PowerPoint strikes again.
Yeah, it's only 14. It's only 14 slides this time, though. So,
okay. Well, that's better.
But yeah, Barb, absolutely. One of them that you had said there. What did you say? Which one did you say?
I said Dr. Doom as Iron Man after Civil War II and Nightwing as Batman.
So why don't you tell me a little bit about the Dr. Doom taking over for Iron Man, because I'm actually not familiar with that.
After he was killed by, I know very little about it, but I do know that after Tony Stark was supposedly killed by Captain Marvel at the end of the Civil War II.
Which Captain Marvel was this? Was that Danvers?
Yes, Carol Danvers. She beat the crap out of him and killed him. But actually he was in a coma in a kind of a stasis tube. But everybody thought he was dead. So apparently, Dr. Doom, Victor, what's his face?
Victor Von Doom.
Von Doom, the leader of Latveria, decided he wanted to try out redeeming himself by being a hero. So he took over the Iron Man role while Tony was in a coma. But he was a little bit more ruthless, apparently, than Tony. So he was more even more morally ambiguous than Tony was. So I don't know how the whole story went, but I do know that's the bare bones of it.
That's the gist, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Very interesting.
I'm not familiar with that either.
I vaguely remember it as a kid, I think borrowing it from my friends. Now, speaking of which, the Dr. Doom has the ability to actually take over or switch people's identities, which was established early on in the Fantastic Four black and white, but Kirby and Stan Lee. We just read this the other night with my boys. So one of the first adventures was he switches identities with Reed Richards.
Yes. Yeah, I do seem to vaguely remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I never liked. You're going to have to tell us about it because I never liked the Fantastic Four.
Yeah. So Dr. Doom ends up switching identities with Reed Richards because he was given the abilities by the Ovoids. I think that's what they were called. The Ovoid, they were an alien race. He somehow ended up being pulled into space for a period of time. And so then he learned their abilities, and one of their abilities was able to transfer his mind into another person, and then that person's mind into
his body. Yeah.
Swap. They could swap. And so Reed Richards ends up in Dr. Doom's armor, and Dr. Doom is in Reed Richards' brain.
So we're talking like a Freaky Friday situation here?
Yeah,
something like that. Except there has to be a mental control for it to happen. And if the mental control breaks, then they flip back.
Okay.
That's very interesting. Yeah.
So that premise of Dr. Doom being able to switch into something else is established very early on in the Fantastic Four.
No life lock for Mr. Dr. Doom.
So when Dr. Doom switches with Tony Stark, is it like a mental switch or is it actually like a physical switch?
No, he actually takes up the reins, puts on the suit, and tries to be Iron Man as Victor Doom. He tries to carry on the mantle of Iron Man, apparently, as far as I can figure out. But he doesn't do it very successfully.
Okay, but he doesn't do it as a mental thing. He doesn't do it as like I tapped into Tony Stark's body.
Yeah, he didn't switch bodies. Yeah, it's not a body snatching type of thing. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
Now,
that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, speaking of that sort of change, the Red Skull does it with Captain America using the Cosmic Cube.
Yes, Hydra Cap.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's recent. That's way more recent than some of the older ones. I don't know how that one wound up and ended up, but I remember that there was quite the uproar that, Cap's been working for Hydra this whole time, which wasn't the truth, and that was all Cosmic Cube related.
Well, this is actually this goes way back even before that. It's back in the when Kirby was still drawing it, back in the late 60s is when the first time that happened, where the Red Skull used the Cosmic Cube. It's the first Cosmic Cube story, actually, and
really?
Toward the end of that story, he uses the Cosmic Cube to switch bodies with Captain America. So, pretty weird stuff especially for back then.
Another Freaky Friday situation.
Yeah, very much. I think that's one of the earliest ones I could think of. Now, unless there was some in the Golden Age or early Silver Age that I didn't catch, but yeah.
Yeah,
that's
because
like one of the first ones I saw those.
So we've established that there's basically two ways to steal somebody's identity. One is to pick up the mantle of somebody who's no longer doing it and wearing the suit, and the other one is to actually take over the entire body and become them.
And so I've got two different tangents or two different ways that we could go with that. The header or the footers down below. Can we turn that one off for a little bit?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Because I was like, I'm getting blocked. Martin's getting blocked. I'm going to try to do something. So you said Dr. Doom took over for Iron Man. That takes me in two different directions. The first one, so all these crazy doctor people. Let me see if I could do a screen share. Let's see if this works. Can you guys see this? Can you see what's on the screen?
Yeah, Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Two Spider-Men. So we have regular Peter Parker on the left-hand side, good old Spider-Man drawn by Tom.
Ock.
What's that?
Is it Doc Ock?
And that is Doc Ock on the right. The superior Spider-Man. So he started going that path of wanting to try to redeem himself, take up the mantle. That's what Doc Ock wound up doing. So Dr. Doom, Dr. Octopus. Seems like a whole lot of doctors want to take over other people's identities. This one actually wound up being him taking up the mantle of Spidey because he wanted to prove he could be a better Spider-Man. So that's why he wanted to be the superior.
That seems to be a theme with. I wonder if that's the same writer that did the Dr. Doom thing.
I don't know. And this was 15 years ago, maybe now. Because like I said, I've not last time I've not been caught up too much. But he took over Peter's body and because his body was dying, so he took over Peter's body. Supposedly wiped out Peter's brain, but there was a little bit in the back there, and he eventually fought his way to the front. But in the meantime, just like Barb said, I'm sure Barb said it, pretty sure Barb said it, was the one that said that he was not as nice as Spider-Man was, just like Dr. Doom, Iron Man was nowhere near as nice as Iron Man would have been.
Yeah,
So,
apparently Dr. Doom wasn't adverse to the occasional murder. So, yeah.
well, you know, they say everything in moderation. So,
I just thought of another one.
Go for it.
Where Wally West takes over for Barry
White.
Yeah, well, Barry White.
Barry
or,
Allen.
Barry Allen for a while in The Flash.
After a crisis.
Yeah, it was in the 90s, I think, is when this happened. 80s or 90s.
Crisis would have been mid 80s after Flash died.
Correct.
And Wally took on the
86. Yeah, after 86. Yeah, definitely.
I had actually planned on throwing a slide in for that one for visuals. I did not get to that one. Many apologies.
Okay. Of course, that's the one I bring up is one you don't have, of course.
You know, I keep hearing this song in my head from the Annie Get Your Gun musical. Anything you can do, I can do better. Anything.
Well, Can I show you another one?
Yep, absolutely.
And hopefully, this would definitely be somebody doing something better. Oh, not that one, not that one. Not that one. That's whatever. All right. So, what's that?
Banner.
Banner. Oh, banner. Thank you. Go ahead.
This one. When Iron Man was drunk and passed out and could not do anything, who took over? Rhodey.
James Rhodes.
Yep.
That's right.
And for a while, I love this candle here. If I wasn't so wasted, I'd probably panic. And then proceeds to pass out. Rhodey saying, somebody's got to do something. I guess I'm elected. And, you know, he's going to do what he can for his buddy as he's passed out there in his white tighty whities. And James Rhodes took over. And as we know later on, Rhodey would wind up getting a suit made especially for him, the War Machine suit. I believe that was an Iron Man 252, if I recall correctly. That's one of my favorite suits of all time. And it was kind of cool for him to take on his own identity. But that first appearance of War Machine with the gray cover with the neon pink spray paint saying War Machine, Tony actually was wearing that uniform first. And I absolutely loved, and it was my junior high days, when they were talking about maybe making the series Iron Men, because Iron Man, Tony, wound up in the Silver Centurion outfit, the silver and red, and that's my favorite Iron Man armor ever. And Rhodey was still around in the red and gold until he wasn't, and then he just kind of, went back to, doing Rhodey stuff, unfortunately. It was pretty cool. But one thing that people don't seem to remember, the original Secret Wars, like the only one that counts in my humble opinion, because I lost interest later on, the Iron Man that was in Marvel Superhero Secret Wars from the 1980s, and it was actually Rhodey in the suit. And
that's
he was
right.
worried about people freaking out, like, what are they going to do when they find out I'm in the suit? And so, that was that was big for that time.
Yeah. Well, how many Robins has there been?
Oh, I'm so glad that you asked.
I swear to God, you need to pay me.
What's
Jason
that?
Todd. What's his name?
Tim Drake, Jason Todd,
Dick Grayson,
Dick Grayson,
Dick Grayson, Tim Drake.
That I put on.
Tim Drake was my Robin. So.
And Carrie, what's her name?
Carrie
Kelly.
But is Dark Knight Returns continuity or not?
Yeah.
Supposedly.
So,
they kind of kept her in a way recently. And then Spoiler also took over the Robin identity for a while.
And who's this new kid that's supposed to be Damian Wayne?
Damian, because Batman nailed Talia al Ghul and they made a kid. And
Nailed.
so Bao
Nailed.
happens,
We're
kids
using
are
nailed.
born, and
Okay.
he was trained to become an assassin, and that's why he's kind of acts like a little douchebag. But
Yeah,
he's
he is a
been
little douchebag.
chilled out lately. When Robin, Damian Wayne was Robin for a while, Bruce had Dick in the uniform, so you had Dick trying to calm down, the overexcited, ready to kill Robin. And it actually made for a very interesting pairing, and it was very good, very good. There was an issue of Nightwing that I absolutely loved. It was Chuck Dixon and Scott McDaniel, where Nightwing was helping Tim Drake kind of get a feel for what he's doing. They were jumping from train car to train car and kind of sharing stories about Robin Hood and kind of like a little brotherly thing there. That was very, very cool.
Mhm. Yeah.
So
speaking of
what's that, Martin?
And I was just going to say, speaking of Nightwing, Nightwing also had a character that decided to take on the Nightwing identity, but with a very different look. And he spelled his name Nite instead of Night. So he was Nightwing. He went around with a baseball bat.
King, yeah. Very violent. Very.
Yes.
Oh, that's the other ones. There's something else I want to throw on the PowerPoint. I'm going to have to go find it.
But did he take an identity, or
Which one became Red Hood?
that would have been Tim Drake?
Do you guys still see it or no?
No.
No.
Okay. So
you need to share your screen.
Let's see. Present. There we go. The reason I chose that one is because literally after Death in the Family, what was it? No Place for the Dying? Was that the series? Was that what they called it?
Don't ask me. I was not involved. I wasn't reading those books then. I wasn't. So yeah.
And No Place for the Dying. That's got to be it. And it was Tim Drake that figured out that that Batman was getting more vicious, more destructive, hurting people more. Deduced Bruce Wayne was Batman. And then he's like, you need a Robin. You need a Robin. And he actually stole Jason Todd's memorialized uniform to try to go save Batman's butt when Batman needed him. And like Batman's was not happy with it, but then eventually took him under his wing. Same thing, since you guys mentioned Carrie Kelly a little bit ago, who is probably my favorite out of all of the Robins. When it was Dark Knight Returns, she just had a uniform on of her own. She went to go save Batman's butt. And, she's like, Batman's kind of delirious. And he's like, what's your name? And she's like, Carrie Kelly. And he's like, huh? And she's like, Robin. And so he wound up taking her under his wing too. He does a lot of.
In a strange twist, she in the Dark Knight Returns 2 or the DK2, she becomes Catwoman.
Really?
Catgirl, right?
Yeah. So it's on two identities. So is stepping into the hero's suit. Does that make the hero? And are you taking over their identity, or is what?
And there's so many different ways that this could have been interpreted. I was looking originally at, I'm taking it. It could be given, but if it's given, maybe it was being refused to be given back. I have an example on that one coming very out too. But does anybody else have any other people that they want to throw in while I go and get my other slide up and running?
Azrael. Azrael as Batman.
Yeah, that's another one.
Okay, that's a good one. Hold on, let me pull up that slide. I got that one too. That's a great one.
Good.
That's a great one. Hold on 1 second. Throw that in there. That one's not going to be the prettiest, but
I'm really contemplating this idea of like, what's the identity that's being taken over? Is it the hero itself, or is it
the ideal?
The idea? Yeah, it's kind of interesting.
And do they always follow the ideal? Is a great question.
So like,
sorry guys.
Or initial launch point with Dr. Doom taking over people's identity with mental ability is one thing. Then he also takes over identity by wearing a different suit
and trying to perform the duties that were done by Tony Stark, because apparently it left a big void in the superhero world when Tony wasn't around. So Victor Von Doom says, "This is my chance for redemption. I will do Tony's job." Only he didn't do it very well.
And did he do it because he was being altruistic, or did he do it to prove that he could do it better?
Yes.
I don't know.
That's probably the safest answer, Rob.
Yeah, I think it was a little bit of both, if I recall the storyline. It's not one I followed, but I heard about it. I think that's what happened.
Yeah, I just heard about it. I read a little snippet about it. That's bare bones. You need to share your screen if you want to show something.
In the X-Men, aren't there some like full body swaps where like characters completely? Shit? Yeah.
Well, isn't that there's I can't think of the character's name, but there's one of them. That's her power is stealing someone else's power. That's not taking their identity, though.
That's Captain Marvel.
So yeah,
or no, Rogue rather, because she took
Rogue. Thank you.
Yeah,
it's Rogue. I couldn't think of her name.
But she just steals their power. She doesn't steal their.
Yeah, she doesn't take them over. She could, if she steals their power, she could then become them. But yeah.
So who said Azrael?
I did.
All right, Rob, what do you want to tell us about Azrael?
Oh my gosh, there was a period when, if you remember, Bane broke Batman's back, and so they needed someone to take over the Batman identity for a while. And Dick Grayson refused, or I think he did it for a little while, but he didn't really want to do it. And so they, I can't remember the exact machinations about how this guy got it, but Azrael, he became Batman, and he put on armor. So he wasn't exactly taking over the same role as Batman, but and he was a lot more
Jean Paul.
Yeah. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
And he took it over, but he was rather violent. He was even more violent than Batman is.
Yep.
So,
and he originally started with just the Batman uniform itself, and then later got his constructed one that we're displaying right now. And you're right, he was way more brutal. He was way more damaging. And there was an issue. Batman gave it to, or Bruce gave it to Jean Paul. He didn't give it to Dick yet, and Dick did not get an offer. It just went straight to Jean Paul. So of course that caused some friction.
Yeah, that caused. I think that caused some problems later on.
Not that Dick really wanted it, but giving it to somebody who's been there for a minute and a half, that was a bit of a problem.
Insult.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Total insult, especially the way that he trashed that reputation. They tried taking him down. They told Jean Paul, give us back the uniform, give us back the identity. He wasn't having it. It was pretty ugly. What wound up happening? Who did wind up taking back over?
Batman.
Bruce Wayne did.
Yeah, Bruce Wayne comes back. Yep.
Yeah.
And
Bruce comes back and puts him down.
And
that was the final break between Dick and Bruce at that point too. Dick wrote him off.
Well,
he says no more.
Well, this is actually where Dick wound up putting on the uniform for himself. So after Bruce Wayne came back to defeat Azrael, Bruce said, "Yeah, my bad. I should have asked you first. Would you please be willing to do this?" And that's the end page there. It says, he says, I don't want your identity, but I'd be lying if I said it's not going to be wild standing in for you for a while. So that was kind of cool. That was nice to see there. That happened through the Prodigal storyline. Those were good times.
So, interestingly enough, I'm going to suggest that the Azrael Batman outfit is kind of like the logical progression of where Batman would be going, kind of into like this more armored approach. It's still a little bit cartoony, but the idea of it as in becoming more aggressive and more protected and all that kind of stuff it would have been the logical arc.
Yeah,
they just twisted the character so much that you're like, whoa, okay, what's going on here? So he couldn't carry that mantle of the Bruce Wayne, because Bruce Wayne has a more noble character about him. So now, do you want a little thing about Asbats? That's a little comic book lore.
Yeah, let's go for it. That's why we're here.
All right. So near the tail end, I believe Joe Quesada was drawing him, and near the tail end of his run, he felt like he was being disrespected, he and the writer. And so what he did is he progressively made the Asbats outfit, more and more complicated, so it'd be impossible to draw. So by the time you reach the end of the arc, his outfit was so like completely bonkers that like nobody wanted to draw it. They were like, nah, no, I'm out. Not touching it.
Yeah.
And that's how he left it, so that whoever came and followed him had to fill those shoes. At least that's what I heard in the comics lore. If Joey Q is out there and he hears this, or was it Palmiotti? I'm not sure which, one of the two. But whoever did that, if they want to correct this, please do. But that's what I understand.
If to come on the show one day to say, hey, that's a little off and wants to correct it, we'd love to host him. That'd be great.
It's happy to see Phil join sometimes.
So there was another time that somebody took over for Batman. That was the one that I first remember seeing, and it blew my mind. And I just thought it was crazy and wild, and never saw that happening in a million years. Does anybody want to guess what that one was?
Alfred?
What's that?
Alfred?
You and I are on the same wavelength. Alfred from where? Alfred from where?
God.
Alfred from where?
Where? Yeah. I mean, in the '60s show, or yes. Oh God.
Yes.
Well,
That's
it actually
exactly
happened in
it.
the comics
So
too.
here we
but
go.
yes.
We got Adam West, and Adam West was Bruce Wayne kidnapped, and he needed to be saved. So who donned the cowl, jumped in the Batmobile, raced off to save his butt?
With his little white mustache.
With the mustache, the cowl that doesn't quite fit right because he looks emaciated there.
Cesar Romero can wear his mustache to play the Joker. Yes.
With the white paint over it. Yes.
Yeah.
But when I was a kid, I absolutely loved this episode, and I thought it was crazy. Like, when I was like 5, watching it in reruns on Channel 32 in Chicago, going, how could they not tell that he's not the same guy? But it was just amazing. It was a lot of fun. So
with the white mustache.
That makes my list today. What's that, Barb?
The mustache just made it.
Yeah. I had a screen cap to get that one because I'm like, okay, I need that picture in there. I'm going to move a couple things around here. Who else wants to throw some stuff out there?
Jane Foster's Thor.
I don't have anything on that one. What would you like to tell us?
That's good.
Nothing. I don't know anything about it. Just that she
Beta Ray Bill.
Yeah, Beta Ray Bill.
Let's go there. Yeah.
And I remember us talking about Beta Ray Bill last time I was on with y'all, and how we thought it was cool, and the smashing the cover and popped on, and no pun intended, and showed us that from his collection. That is one of the most iconic covers I could possibly think of. That thing is just amazing. If you notice, a lot of people were changing and giving up identities or getting them taken away in the 90s. The 90s seemed to be like a big period, 80s, 90s for, Get Out, I'm Here Now, I'm Taking Over. Does anybody remember when Wonder Woman was replaced?
Yes.
All right. Anybody remember the story around there?
Artemis.
And I will go on the record that I loved Artemis as my preference for Wonder Woman, to tell you the truth. So go ahead. Do this.
I inked a short over Ed Bennis.
Oh, wow.
Did you really?
Yeah, I did.
Ooh.
With Artemis. Yeah.
Yeah.
And for some reason, I think I read that issue.
What's that?
And for some reason, I think I read that very issue. I now have to look that up.
So we had Diana that she actually got her role taken away from her by the mother on the island, right? And it was given to Artemis instead?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and then what wound up happening, just because it was the 90s, Diana decided to stick around for a while, and she wore like a halter top with a black leather jacket and some tight like bicycle shorts, and started running around heroics on her own.
Oh my word!
Why? Because it was the
I'm glad I didn't follow that.
So so here we got some great Jim Lee art, followed by that would be Mike Deodato Jr. And I loved his art, and Ed Bennis too. Love those guys' art. That stuff was fantastic. I lived for that. So there, I got a puppy here, breathing and coughing and happy because
I heard him.
So let's see, where do we want to go next? Anybody else have someone they want to throw out?
So I just want to touch back on the Artemis thing.
Yeah.
So Barb, that was that an issue 6, Wonder Woman annual number 6 backup story?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So like, there's a page of yours. There's a page of yours going for $225 on Anthony'sComicBookArt.com.
No boy.
Yeah. So, and it's this giant lizard monster thingy.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah. So, all right, yeah. I may or may not, I have a pretty good memory for comics I've read. I may or may not have read that. I will have to do some double checking. But yeah.
Bucky Barnes as Captain America.
Yes.
Who's taken over for Bucky? There's been a few.
Took over.
Oh, when Bucky took over for Cap.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That was a huge the Brubaker storyline. That went on for a long time. And a lot of that stuff was taken and adapted into the MCU for the cinematic universe. Very true. There was good stuff in there. I thought you were talking about who took over for Bucky, because there were multiple Buckys that were replacing Bucky Barnes. They had who was the dude that hung out with the Hulk quite a bit? Rick Jones.
Rick Jones, yeah.
Didn't Rick Jones don the uniform at one point?
Yeah, I think we're an issue or two early on. I don't know if he did.
And I know we talked last time. Well, last time I was in, and I went on my 25-minute speech about U.S. Agent and the Captain and all that fun stuff. Lamar Hoskins took over the identity of Bucky at that point too. So there was another one there. Ricky Barnes. So when they rebooted continuity and brought in Rob Liefeld Studios and Jim Lee Studios, Rob didn't bring in a Bucky Barnes. He brought in a Ricky Barnes. It was a female. So it was a rebooted continuity. So not so much her taking Bucky's identity, but it was a revision, a new person in the role, because it was a parallel story.
Retcon. It was a retcon.
Yeah, they kind of rebooted everything, and yeah, she was cool though. I liked her. She was awesome. Kind of reminded me a little bit of Carrie Kelly, to tell you the truth. So, all right. And can I throw one in?
Yeah, go.
Go ahead.
All right.
Go.
All right. So last time we were talking, I walked everybody through the whole Captain America gave up his uniform, didn't want to work for the government. So I figured I had to put some of those slides in here for you. So this was Patriot fighting Captain America, and Super Patriot wound up becoming Captain America, taking it away from Steve Rogers right here. When government wanted Rogers to come work for him, and Rogers is like, forget that, I'm out of here. We talked that time about how Rogers' friend, Demolition Man, D-Man, the wrestler, went and had his seamstress make him a new uniform. Black, white, red, my favorite comic uniform of all time, and went running around calling himself the captain. Fought John Walker, who later became U.S. agent, and agent said to Rogers, please take Captain America uniform back because they're just going to get some other schmuck to screw it up as bad as I did, if not worse. So the next, this is, if you remember from the MCU, do you remember when they teased whether or not Rogers could pick up Thor's hammer?
Yes.
In the movie, yeah.
And then in Endgame, that was like the defining moment where it's like he caught it and Thor's like, I knew he was worthy, and it was Avengers Assemble. Well, when that happened in real life, in the comic books, it was Rogers while he was wearing the uniform of the Captain, not Captain America. So I had to pull that image here. And I still don't get the backstory on how his pseudo nemesis wound up getting the black and white red uniform that his buddy gave him and the shield, but somehow it happened because, I don't know, plot armor or something, and that was U.S. agent taking it over. That's Mark Silvestri that drew that one of my favorite images of him, but there's also like a million of those too. So that is from Super Patriot taking over for Captain America, who then becomes the captain, and then Super Patriot, who was Captain America, now became U.S. agent.
All right, I have something for Martin. There you go. That's what you were looking for, right?
Yep.
That's Artemis. It's not as big as I would have wanted, but that's my work.
That's nice.
Yeah, so it was a backup story in the Wonder Woman annual Pulp Heroes, and I'm 90% sure I had that book, and I'm pretty sure I read that story at some point in time. And I saw one picture, which is a double-page spread, and it has, I don't know how long you worked on that page. That would have been nuts.
They were fun.
Yeah.
Back to Beta Ray Bill. Was he actually a Thor? I mean, Thor, or was he? Like
no, they just called
they
called him Beta Ray Bill. They just called him Beta Ray Bill, if I remember right.
But he
wasn't Thor.
Thor's actual hammer, and he had the power of Thor.
Yeah.
Right.
So that doesn't fit exactly our theme for this evening.
Okay, how about old Lobo replaced young Lobo? No, not Lobo. Wolverine. It was Wolverine.
Okay.
was replaced by a future version of himself.
Really?
I know the Beast. The Beast was replaced by Dark Beast from Age of Apocalypse. I remember that.
And now we're just gonna go.
Yeah,
that's go old Star Trek Mirror Universe.
Mirror is my favorite episode ever. I love that. And then yesterday's Enterprise for Next Generation. I love the time travel, alternate histories, and parallel life stories. Those things are great. Wolvie got replaced a couple times, like by X-23. Oh shucks, there was another one. Anybody else remember when Wolvie got replaced? Oh, nope. During Dark Avengers, because his son Dakin took over, and they had some other people somebody took over for Hawkeye and played like they were Hawkeye, but it was somebody else, maybe Bullseye. I'm not sure. But when Spider-Man's number one nemesis, Norman Osborn, when Osborn was leading that group, he had a bunch of people standing in and supposedly were the heroes, but they were nothing but.
Now, if we go back to the Flash, where Wally West and Barry Allen, but they weren't really. One of them retired, right?
Barry Allen died.
Or died
in Crisis.
Was it number 8?
Yeah, I don't know which issue, but yeah, he died in Crisis. He and Supergirl, remember, died in the Crisis, and I think he didn't exactly commit suicide, but he sacrificed himself, if I remember correctly.
Didn't he join the Speed Force?
That
was
I
like
don't know. That I don't know. But
because,
Wally West, who was Kid Flash, took over for him for several years there. I don't know if they ever. I haven't followed the book since then, so I don't know if they brought him back or not.
Impulse came along, which is Bart Allen. Well, I remember that book well.
And I was gonna say, yeah.
Did you do any work on it or not? No.
2.5 years.
Okay. See,
I spent on that book.
Wow.
Yep.
You made a little money on that one. Yeah. And
that was the only time I was.
That was a big book. That did very well back then. Yeah. So did you make royalties on that or not?
Some. The only time I was ever under contract to DC, I spent 2 years on it with Bill Messner-Loebs and Craig Rousseau. And then they retired our team, but then the new penciler, Ethan Van Sciver, got behind, or the inker got behind, and they brought me back for another 6 months to work on him.
All right. Yeah.
So yeah, I know a little bit.
Bring the pro back to do it right.
Yeah. I don't know about that, but
I do.
Yeah, it was really nice being under contract, even though I could work for other people, because I had this really amazing thing called healthcare that was offered.
So you were an employee then. By being exclusive, then you became an employee and were then eligible for healthcare and other benefits, probably. Of course, they didn't have a retirement program, I'm sure, but yeah.
But my point in all of this was to say that that Bart Allen was part of the whole Flash family, you know, and Barry was brought back, if I remember correctly. This is 30 years ago.
I think, it's been a while. It's been a minute.
And then they lived together. He was raising him like his grandson.
Oh, okay.
In Impulse.
Yeah, I didn't follow any of the books. I was aware of them, and I thought it was a great concept, and it had a real fun look to it. I thought
Mike Ringo
was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
He did some. I think Michael Ringo, didn't he do some work on that book? I can't remember now.
No.
The purple one.
Yes, he did.
He also did a lot of.
Later on.
Yeah, he also did a lot of the Robin books.
Yeah, that was later on after I'd left the book that he did some really fantastic.
There was that whole. I call it a Bigfoot look, because they
yes.
Because the youngsters had big tennis shoes, and they were kind of rounded and kind of Bigfootish.
Yeah, so, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'll bet it looked like a lot of fun, but this old guy, it wasn't in my wheelhouse, but I saw how it would it reached out for a younger audience, which I thought was a good idea, especially at that time. I think more of that needs to be done now.
Yeah.
But now I have lost
younger
track.
Kid stuff.
I have lost track of where he's gone in the last several years. Has he taken up? Yeah, Bart. Has he taken up the mantle, or is he still a teenager? Does anybody know?
Can't answer that question. We'd have to Google that one, I think.
Yeah, the last time I was really up to date on him is when Young Justice was out and Todd Knock was drawing it, because I love Todd Knock stuff. He's amazing. So, but I don't know what's been happening since the early 2000s with him.
That's too bad. Yeah, I haven't either. I lost track.
Yep.
Can I throw
not
in
my wheelhouse?
so I could get like the ire of comicdom all over?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
All
100%.
right.
I'm doing this
Yeah,
one.
go for it, man.
But I am being honest. So this image I found online. It is, I don't know if it was a recreation by somebody else or if it was a commission, but it is a definitely homage one or the other to my favorite, probably my favorite Spider-Man image ever, drawn by Brett Booth, who is one of my favorite artists ever. And this was from the crossover of Spider-Man and Backlash. So when Image and Marvel were working together, this is my favorite Spider-Man, the one, the true, the only, the real, the original Spider-Man, Ben Reilly.
Right. You mean the clone?
And,
hang on.
You know, I
loved
the idea of the clone from Amazing Spider-Man 150. I absolutely love the idea that they dug that out of, you know, the dust, you know, and which is ironic because Spidey, Peter, threw the clone down a smokestack because he thought he was dead. And he's like, well, I want to be cremated, so I guess you probably would too. But he survived. He went off, called himself Ben Reilly, came back because he heard that MA was dying for like the 393rd time in 40 years of comicdom. And when Pete and MJ wanted to have kids, they gave the Spider-Man identity to Ben, who had been running around as Scarlet Spider for a while, one of the also awesomest costumes ever. And I loved how he put the web shooters on the outside. I love the huge spider. I just love this look. When we were watching the newest Spider-Man movie, the Spider-Verse movie, and I saw, Scarlet Spider in there. Oh my God, that was like a dream come true because like everybody hated Scarlet Spider, hated Ben Reilly. I love this uniform, and this uniform apparently was loved enough by other people because it was the one that Mayday Parker wound up wearing in the M2 universe, where Pete and MJ had a daughter, and she went and got, Uncle Ben's costume from the attic and put it on, and that was what she was running around with too.
Cool.
So who's Spider-Man?
It's the way that they did it. It is Peter Parker. It was supposed to be a temporary retcon that, was the clone the real one or the real one the real one? And
well, the advertising always said that the news magazines always were saying, they said that this is going to be the one and only, and we're moving forward with this forever until too much backlash from the audience, and then whoa, hang on a second.
That
It's just the
storyline
same concept as nobody ever stays dead in comics. That's the same concept.
No. There's another one. So since we got Spidey, let me go ahead and give you this one too, because Spidey seems to like lose his identity quite a bit.
So those two Spider-Man images that you just showed, one was by Brett Booth.
The bottom one was by Brett Booth. The top one, I'm not sure if it was a Booth commission that somebody else had colored up or if somebody did it as an homage. I've not been able to figure that one out.
I didn't see this top and bottom. I saw it as first and second, so I'm not.
Sorry, that's right. So the second one, the one that was not as digitally clear because it was scanned from a book, the one with the Ben Reilly Spidey, was the Brett Booth.
That was Brett Booth. The other one looks very, very Todd McFarlane.
Yeah, and that's why I'm not sure exactly if it was a recreation, somebody else doing it in his style. But you see Spawn hanging out there. It's pretty cool. But okay, so Superman died, came back. We could talk about that one next. But since Spidey got taken over quite a bit, who remembers? And this is like a seminal storyline in comics about Kraven's Last Hunt.
Yes.
Do you guys all remember Kraven's Last Hunt?
I remember the story. I remember the story being vaguely. I for some reason, every single time I bring these up, it's like I borrowed these comics from my friends. But I don't necessarily remember the story per se. But like I remember that title, Kraven's Last Hunt. Absolutely.
This one was severe, man. I mean, like Kraven, was like, I am going to prove I am better and best than Spider-Man. Went and quote unquote killed Spider-Man. Didn't really kill him. Buried him and took over his identity. Put on the costume. Swung around as Spider-Man. Pete finally dug himself out from the ground. Kraven scared the living crap out of Mary Jane. And at the end, he wound up putting his rifle in his mouth and blew his brains out.
Yes.
Lovely.
Yes,
great story.
I remember that.
Yeah. That's pretty intense for a comic book.
In the 80s. That was in the 80s.
And that was for kids.
Yeah. That's all for kids. You've seen TikTok, right? Oh, did you guys eat your Tide Pods today? Don't forget, it's nutritious.
And so Peter, was he like a zombie Spider-Man then? If he dug himself out of a grave?
No, he was just.
Darn, that would have been good.
The drugs were off. Let's see. There was.
That was my mouse.
The Superman we talked about. We went past that one. Superman died. The four people claimed the mantle. The Eradicator, Superboy, who was a clone.
Steel.
What's that?
Steel.
Yep.
And
the Electric Superman. Or did Electric Superman come later?
He came later. Superman in red and blue.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we had the Eradicator, Cyborg Superman, Superboy, who was a clone, a mixed DNA. It's the love child of Superman and Lex Luthor, and Steel. So, Steel went on to have his own movie.
That's
so,
right.
That's right. That's correct. And it was a flop.
Unfortunately, I hate to see that flop. Was that
Superboy was quite fun. It was actually quite a fun read.
Yeah. If you remember when Marvel and DC crossed over to do the Amalgam comics?
Yep.
It was Spider-Man and Superboy, so he had like the Superboy jacket with him and everything too. So that was pretty cool. Yeah.
What you working on, Rob?
I'm working on page 10 of Boston Bombers. Inking it up. It's been taking way too long, this book has.
I am working on a Sirens cover.
Nope. Sirens. All right. Is that Sirens issue 2? No.
Hang on. Let me. Solo layout. There we go.
There. Let's see what. Oh my.
Very nice.
Oh my.
Little racy.
Little racy. Yes.
Yeah. Ooh, la, la.
It's a cover for number 3, the 3rd issue of Sirens.
The 3rd issue. Oh, okay.
Yep. Speaking of other Silverline books,
and I'm working on cover for Wolf Hunter 2 right now.
Oh, cool. We currently have a Kickstarter on.
Yes.
Please, Barb.
I jumped over there and looked at it today.
Yeah. I actually, let me see here if I can find it.
So it looks like they're about a third of the way there, maybe third.
Yeah, something like that.
Which is not unusual with these, but
a third of the way already, though. That's pretty quick.
Yeah.
Wow.
It jumps up, and then it, most of them kind of they stall for a little bit, and then they take off again. That's how it seems to go.
Yeah.
So if you want to look, it's for Cray number 2 and Switchblade number 3. And they have $504 out of $1,750 is their goal.
Yeah,
we're like in the second day. Yeah, we're less than a day into it. And I highly recommend you guys check these books out. I love Cray. Switchblade is a lot of fun. It's a fun book. all you have to do, I don't have the link with me at the moment, but all you have to do is Google Silverline Cray. That's Krey. Silverline Cray and Switchblade, and it'll pop right up.
Do you guys see the Kickstarter on the screen right now?
No, we do not.
Nope.
Oh, let's try sharing that out. Okay, let me try that again.
Was
Frank,
there not another Was there not another Kickstarter that started for Cat and Mouse number 4? Or
well, that's been done.
Oh, that's been done. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, the thing on that one is that they're just about to ship everything out.
Oh, right. Okay, yes.
That's right.
John,
So
go ahead and
those
throw that
books
up.
will
I
be
have to
going
add
out
it to the
soon.
stream.
Here we go. Can we
Here
see
we
it
go.
now?
There. Oh,
Yeah.
thank you so much.
Yes.
Woohoo!
So we've got 17 days to go, but please do not wait until the last minute to pledge. We need your pledges early. That way they could start unlocking cool additional steps and things there. The left-hand side, that artwork is beautiful. I fell in love with that the first moment I saw that. Well, she's beautiful, and I fell in love with her the first moment I saw her. And that is that's classic Stephen Butler art. So it's been recolorized, and the book itself looks fantastic. So yeah, 2 comics, 1 Kickstarter, and there are all kinds of updates from our boss here. Cray 2 Remix, 5-issue miniseries already done.
And don't forget that while we're running these Kickstarters, you can go into the add-ons and add on any Silverline book. Say you want to find Trumps, Roland Mann's Trumps. You'd heard some good things about it. While you're in there, you can add every single issue of Trumps if you want to, or Divinity, or
right here,
Friar Rush. Yep.
Here you go.
Twilight Grim.
Missed an issue.
Twilight Grim.
We got them all. Collect them all. Collect 2. Christmas is coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a Christmas edition in there too. How about that?
It is right here, Silverline Trades, Christmas Special 2021. That was a whopping huge book, but it was also a whopping huge lot of fun, and I got one of my dreams published sooner than I thought because I got to do a Tempest in Silver Dollar storyline with Santa for that Christmas special. It was great. It was fantastic. And then here's a little bit about some of the creators. And so yes, please everybody check out the Kickstarter. As Barb said, you could just go ahead and Google Kickstarter Cray Switchblade, or up here projects Roland Mann, and some letters up here too. Of course, you can find the links on all the social medias of Silverline, pointing you in the right direction so you can get some amazing reading. Well, friends, it is 8:06. Shall we start wrapping up?
Yes.
I
Where do you like going? I like Captain America.
Yes, we know you're a Cap boy.
No.
And I'm a Tony girl.
No.
All right. Well, everybody, thank you for hanging out with us today. We hope that you enjoyed a little bit of the discussion about I like your identity. I think I'll take it. There's certainly enough out there that we could do a second round of this, and we could maybe pull from some deeper back history and some more current stuff too. We had a lot of 90s and 80s in there, but I kind of feel like that was some good primetime stuff. So everybody, thank you for joining today. Barb, any parting words?
I won't be on next week. I will be on vacation.
Safe travel.
Charleston.
I will not be here either. I am driving the volleyball girls to another victory next week. Next Wednesday. They're going to kick some behind and take some names. They've been doing very well this year, so I'm enjoying that. But I will not be able to tune in.
Last Starfighter?
What's that?
Take ass and kick names.
What's that?
Kick ass and take names.
No, with Last Starfighter, it was like victory or death. Victory or death. So hopefully it doesn't come to that. Just victory.
No. We don't go for no.
Just victory.
No.
Well, safe travels, and hopefully they will perform splendidly.
And well, they're like I said, they're kicking behind and taking names. Yes, they're doing very well this year. So, but now, Martin,
Yes,
Any
sir.
last words from you, sir?
I don't really have much to add, or working on Wolf Hunter 2 cover right now, so
Yeah,
yeah.
cool. Yeah,
Got to get that
your
thing out
mind
the
is
door.
in two places at once.
Yeah. So, yeah. But it looks like it'll be me and John next week. So,
All right,
Looking forward.
we'll see
everybody.
what we can come up with.
If you could drag
we
in
like to
anybody
say-
else, you might be able to get some other guys.
Yeah. As we
All
all
right,
like to say
everybody.
at the end, make
Make
mine
And Silverline.
Silverline.
My name is Ross Ritchie from Boom Studios, and make mine Silverline.